The opinions expressed on this TV program by the hosts, guests, and callers are solely their opinions and responsibility. They do not necessarily represent the views and opinions of Hot 7 TV or its affiliates.
Good night, Saint Lucia. Good night, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Sizzling Hot, and of course, Sizzling Hot bow tie on keeping it real. Yeah, you gotta get accustomed to keeping things level. It's not a propeller, you know, although I'm gonna be moving forward with quite a bit of action tonight. I have some things to spring on you, but as usual, as we start the show tonight, the regular shout outs to the new fans and those who've come up to me. And I'd like to say a special good night, first of all, to Cess and the crew who are watching in Masad, Grosley. Got a special message from you. I'd like to give you a shout out. Good night, Cess, and all the others who are with you. Thank you very much for tuning in to Keeping It Real. We're going to have a hot night tonight, so sit down, relax, roll around, whatever you're doing, stay tuned. I'd like to say a special good night to Frances. Somebody stopped me this morning and said, say good night. Say good night to Frances and everybody else who gave me messages for the fans who wanted to be shouted out. Good night to all of you. Thank you so much for listening. Somebody sent me a message here and said, I'm in the house. Well, good night to you too. And I have to say, folks, a special shout out to a loyal fan of the show since the radio days in June last year. I don't think he's missed too many shows, but he sent me a message this afternoon and said, I'll be watching from Hawaii. So good night to you out there in Hawaii, to the doctor himself. And in Hawaii right now, it's just about 1:30 in the afternoon. So it's afternoon over there. Good night to you. Good night to Grand Riviere, Grosley, South Africa. We had a friend in South Africa and they're back again. London, England, Canaries, Soufrière, Babono, Cap Estate, Barbados, man, good night to you. Trinidad, Brooklyn, Atlanta, Georgia, Miami, Florida, Toronto, Hartford, Connecticut, Baltimore, Maryland, Pierrot, that's down there in Viewfort, down south, Laborie, PI, Pave Road, good night to you. I know you're watching tonight. I know you're watching. Special good night to you. And of course, Beau Séjour in Grosley. And oh, hey, might as well do it twice. It's twice as nice. Beau Séjour in Viewfort as well. Good night to all of you. Good night to the horses. Good night to the cows. Whatever's down there roaming around. All of you on your mobile devices, at home in front of your 75-inch screen TV, 42-inch, 49, whatever. Everybody's trying to get bigger and bigger. Christmas coming. So anyway, that's it for the shout-outs. Thank you so much to all of you. Now that's all done. You know, every week it just seems like nothing new is going to come out in this environment of Saint Lucia, and then you hear something even more ridiculous than the previous week. What about Bois d'Orange? Okay, good night, Bois d'Orange. Orange Woods. Bonsoir, Bois d'Orange. Okay? Right. You know, when you think you've heard it all in Saint Lucia, the stupidity, because that is all you can refer to it as, because there seems to be some special form of, let me choose my words carefully, ignorance that's permeating the atmosphere in Saint Lucia. There's no other way to describe it, folks. No other way. Abject stupidity. Are you telling me, in a world in which we live, where there are rules, where there are regulations, where there are conditions, where there are accepted forms of behavior, where there are accepted forms of, you know where I'm going with this? Dress. And last week, or the week before into last week, and the crazy arguments that some of the Facebook experts are making on some of the most outlandish things you've ever heard in your life. About the Pitons Cup, you know, the DSH racetrack down in Vieux-Fort. And of course, that big race that's going to be taking place, well, those races on December the 13th. And of course, the notice went out that there would be a dress code. There is a dress code. But you know, people, too many people who should know better and pretend not to know better are the ones who perpetuating this Kool-Aid nonsense. You know, glog, glog, glog. Drink the Kool-Aid. By the way, let me tell you folks, tonight, next week, SOA, the Keeping It Real mugs will be here. That's right, Keeping It Real mugs are here. I've been bombarded with calls. I want my mug. Some people want more than one. Some people want two. Somebody wants 5. Can you believe that? Well, we'll see about that. They buy about 5. Yeah. But anyway, some people are bent out of shape because there is a dress code for the race course. But you know, one little detail, some people are, oh, you're going to watch horses. What kind of thing is that? We're in the tropics. You have to dress down like this and you wear a suit and give me a break. Give me a break. There are light suits that you can wear in the tropics, you know. Yes, there are. There are people in Saint Lucia who go to work in suits every day. You poke up more. They're not dead yet. They ain't had no heat stroke. If you go to church, there's a dress code. Isn't there? If you go to a beach, there's a dress code. You don't go to the beach in a suit to bathe unless you're one of these people who want to make a point and get married on the beach in your suit and then jump in the water, whole suit, like we say in Saint Lucia. But by and large, we accept that bikinis, shorts, trunks, that sort of thing. And for the bold old men, Speedos. That's right, Speedos. I just saw them as Speedos. The Speedos. But you go to work, there's a dress code. You go to court, there's a dress code. Everywhere you go, even if you're just going to town, there's a dress code. Oh, people gonna spend all of that money on a suit or new clothes just to go to a horse race. But at least you could wear that suit again to go to church or whatever you want to, you know, whatever the style is. You could go to work. You could go to another function. You could go to another horse race with it. Isn't that so, folks? Stay with me. Isn't that so? Absolutely. But there are people in Saint Lucia, you see the foolishness. If it's not for you, if you don't want to spend money, spend now. Nobody's forcing you. But a little detail that these people failed to mention was that the dress code applied to the VIP section. The VIP section, these people don't complain when there are all sorts of different color parties at Pigeon Point. And it costs $500 to enter, plus you buy your new outfit. Huh? These same people have no problem buying or paying for a $1,000 entrance into a carnival band with a panty and bra. Panty and bra for the carnival. We know that song, of course. You know it, don't you? Exactly. So what is the whole heebie-jeebie, hullabaloo, boom, bye-bye kind of thing about, you know, a dress code? If you're not in the VIP section, you could wear your regular clothes, but still, there'll be a dress code. It may not be as stringent or as required as the VIP section, but you're expected to dress decently. Isn't that so? And you know, there's this so-called talk show host. You know, this so-called talk show host, Buddy, I'm going to be honest, Buddy, who espouses going to men's retreat and going to mass and all of that, you know. I l'église pour aider. Nothing wrong with that, but there's a dress code for church, isn't there? He's making a lot of noise about a dress code and all of this kind of thing. Now, do you think the objection to a dress code, right? A dress code at a horse race, where all over the world, folks, all over the world, there's a dress code for that section, where people come out and make a flair. It's just like your Sunday best. You know, you come out and you dress up, or you're going to a wedding, you dress up, you want people to see you. You know, fait qu'on do, one qu'on do. Same thing. Dress code. Every single thing you do has a dress code attached to it. Even if you go to hedonism, the dress code says that you don't wear nothing. You won't catch me there. But that's the vibe. If you have clothes on you then, people say, oh, what's wrong with this guy? What's wrong with her? You're in the wrong place. But anyway, do you think that Buddy would go to church or men's retreat dressed like this? Show it. Do you think he would dress like that to go to church? Of course not. Of course not. He wouldn't go to church like this. That's bedroom wear, that's runway wear. Huh? And even though the Bible says, render thy heart, not thy garments, do you think that anybody would be accepting of this? There's a dress code everywhere. You could take that down now. Some people getting too excited watching that screen there. But when it's appropriate, it's appropriate. Isn't that so? Oh, no. Folks, if you could get your friends, tell them Facebook, streaming on Facebook or whatever. I understand that cable TV is down in the north. How far north? I don't know. But people are having some problems with cable TV and getting the show right now. Just got a message from one of the undercover agents for keeping it real. So, along with the dress code brouhaha of nothingness, some people are trying to make a problem, right? A problem. And I showed it the week before, and I want to show it again. Because, folks, I'm always honest with you on here. Factual, but I want to make the point of the ridiculousness that has some people, or let me rephrase that. The ridiculousness that some people want to perpetuate in Saint Lucia. And I have to go back in talking about the dress code. I have to go back now to what has been pushed by the Saint Lucia Labour Party again. And if you don't like it, that's your problem. That's your problem. Because the facts are the facts. And I ain't talking about faxing a piece of paper to somebody else over the telephone line. FACTS, the facts. And what has been repeated ad nauseum, although people have rejected the nonsense. You know, sometimes you wonder where the logic comes from, whether it's just to remain out there, regardless of what you say, to keep your face out there. So the big brouhaha again is about whether all that St. Lucians are worth, all that our young people are worth, is to clean up don't say it, horse doo-doo. And I want to go back again. You see, it is important to be factual. Because when you're factual, you can address the lies, you can address the deception, you can address the mépris, you can address the propaganda. Whether St. Lucians are going to be gamblers. Remember that? Ice cream. Trying to trick our children. How it's so cynical. Give them ice cream and make them become gamblers. Absolute nonsense. But the very same people, and I'm talking in this instance to Philip J. Pierre, who made that statement about horses and ice cream for the kids who were invited over every Sunday until the end of November. And just to let you know, quite a number of people have been to the racetrack to see. There's nothing wrong in seeing. But Philip J. Pierre believes that ice cream, which is given to the children at the racetrack, will somehow magically make them become gamblers. But when you hear that, you see, people say, oh, Philip J. Pierre, his tone of voice, that's the past, man, that's the past, that's the past. Because very often, in making that statement, Philip J. Pierre doesn't want you to remember the past because it's an inconvenient past to him and the Saint Lucia Labour Party. He's talking about horses. He's talking about gambling. Well, who passed the legislation to legalize gambling in Saint Lucia? The Saint Lucia Labour Party, with Philip J. Pierre as what he called himself? The Deputy Prime Minister. To which he said he had a letter confirming that he was the Deputy Prime Minister. And he even asked the Speaker of the House in one sitting to adjourn the House so that he could go to his office or to his home to get that letter to prove that he had a letter from Kenny Anthony saying that he was the Deputy Speaker, the Deputy Prime Minister. Can you believe that, folks? But anyway, getting back to this. You see, horse doo-doo is a no-no for the SLP. Our young people deserve better than that. Good night to Bermuda. I got a message here saying he's watching. And of course, the gambling. After they opened the door, now there's a problem for gambling, where kids have access to gambling machines and the lotto all over Saint Lucia. But one racetrack will make you a gambler. So let's go to the SLP manifesto from 2011, folks. Let's go to that and see down at the bottom. Is there any way we can zoom into that there, please? I really need to get that. If we can get to that for you to see. I want you to see it, folks. I don't want to read. I don't want to read it. But nevertheless, it says there on that page in their manifesto that the Saint Lucia Labour Party, there we go, that's it. Come closer again. Come, that's right. Adamun pa bien we. Go closer. And center it a little bit there. Reminds me of the days of Gatey and Clark. Center! That's right, that's right. Bring it up again. There we go. There we go. Right? What does it say? We will establish a horse racing track in Vieux-Fort. You see the 3 red arrows? We will establish a horse racing track in Vieux-Fort in 2011, the SLP 2011 manifesto. And I want you to ask Philip J. Pierre and the SLP what it is that the horses that they would have put on that racing track, what it is comes out of their derriere. Is it horse? Shh! Don't say that. Is it snow? Is it sugar? Is it potatoes? Or is it the same thing that's coming out of the derriere of the horses at the DSH racetrack now? And the question then also is whether that horse racetrack there that they say is going to encourage gambling. What's the purpose of a horse racetrack? It's gambling anyway. It's gambling. The Facebook experts, it's gambling. What is the difference then under the SLP to now. Is it a different kind of horse in 2019? Are those horses eating something different? Are they eating salt alone? Or rocks? That what comes out from behind is different? You know, this is the abject, I must use the word, the abject stupidity and nonsense which is being peddled to the people of Saint Lucia. And who don't like it, usa two-face, you vle. Usa two-face. Come on, man, with the foolishness. So now you see how ridiculous that statement by Philip J. Pierre is, and you see how ridiculous the argument of the Saint Lucia Labour Party is about the horses at the DHH racetrack. You see how ridiculous it is? The simplest, the most cursory. Looking back, so you're telling me, that's the past, man. That's the past? Of course it's the past. That's what you all said in the past. But now you want to make it seem like it's a whole different animal now. Must be unicorns. The SLP had the intention of riding at that racetrack they were going to put up in Vieux Fort. You know, it just keeps, every day, it gets ridiculouser and ridiculouser. The 3B's principle, folks, I want you to remember this. Brought to you by Keeping It Real. I've used it here, and you have to remember it when you see these ludicrous statements being made. The 3B's principle. Bullshit baffles brains. That's all it is. That is all it is. And these people are preying on the simple-mindedness of many Saint Lucians, on the trusting that many Saint Lucians give, their trusting nature, and try to mama guide them with nonsense, bullshittery and gwenery. But as if that was not enough, let's go to this screenshot. I think it was the 17th of November. Is that 17th there? That's right. At 12:13 p.m. 12:13 p.m. You see that there, folks, on your screen? I'm sure you do. What is that about? Huh? What is that about? It appears, Dr. Kenny Anthony, let me just say, why the denial of access? It appears that the St. Jude Hospital site is now a high security area. Believe it or not, no one is allowed to take any footage unless permission is expressly given by Guy Joseph. Now, one would assume that he's referring to Guy Joseph, the government minister. But folks, leave that up on screen there. Folks, construction sites should be, and all over the world, by and large, they are high security areas. Because you have heavy equipment, you have workmen with power tools, you have dangerous conditions, you have things that can fall, you have heavy steel, you have concrete, you have vehicles. So a construction site is a high security area. In fact, it is required that when you access a construction site, that there be notices or signs for you to see. You must have a hard hat to enter the construction area of the compound. You must have a reflective vest so you can be seen. You must walk along certain areas, and other areas it's only heavy duty equipment. But then we also have to remember, folks, that in a previous administration, or in other construction sites, things disappeared. Things disappear from construction sites all the time. So the purpose for high security is to prevent pilferage, is to prevent persons from the outside coming in, ek vole bagay, vole tools mun, your power tools. We all know about that. Si an office yo ka vole ball pen ou, c'est pas tools ou qui vaut $2,000, $1,000, $5,000, yo pa y vole. Crimes of opportunity. You have to make sure, control access. What about if somebody's child or a bunch of kids want to explore a construction site, walk on and they get injured? What are you going to say? The first persons who would jump up and say, well, what about security? Why wasn't there a fence? Do not even try to go in with a knapsack. That speaks for itself. You have hotels where they check people's bags. The employees, when you're going out. What's the problem? This is nothing exceptional. But you see, all of this lends to, you can get rid of that. I am not even going to go through the rest of that. All this lends to the credibility of the people making the statements. It's one thing when they're in office, and something else when they were not in office. Or the government has its own private security. The government has contracted private security all over. Government buildings, they're not policemen, they man in the buildings. It's private security companies. At Victoria Hospital, at other facilities that the government operates, most of them are private security companies. They're not government employees. So, what's the big deal? What's the big deal? Making a fuss where there's nothing to make a fuss about. All in an effort to distract attention. Instead of saying, oh, what a great job, St. Jude's is finally moving forward. The steel is going up in the air. Looks like something's like bamboo growing. The progress that's going on at St. Jude's. But oh no, people, oh no. Can't get any accolades for that. You can't get any support. You can't get any kudos. No encouragement. No congratulations. You must find something wrong. So the problem is with the security at the compound. Oh, j'aime un bêtise comme ça. Papi show. Oh, let me be a little more polished. It's not papi show. It's papi show. Hey, papi show. C'est mon là qui a été l'autre pays, man. Ou vie Saint Lucia, man. Papi show. Pas papi show. Papi show, man. You see what I'm talking about? Endless nonsense. Now let's go back now. I want to bring something to your attention again. Now there is a rhyme and reason to where I'm going with this. Because the people who want to tout themselves as pillars of virtue, as the ones with the experience to dictate to the government how things should be done. The government cannot make any single move without the opposition opining differently, that it must go through them, that they must approve. So, I come in, I come in. Let's go to a very interesting email, folks. Very interesting email. And that email is to T.O.R. King. That email is to T.O.R. King. And it is from Dr. Kenny Anthony. And I want this to be as large as possible on screen so you can have a look. I'll let you do that. I'll let you do that, folks, so that you can see. I'll let you read for yourself, because some people like to see for themselves. And I will break it down in a little bit. I'll break it down in a little bit, folks. There you go. Have a look at it. Now, unfortunately, I'm not pulling this up on my end, and that is my mistake here. But nevertheless, I will tell you folks that this is a very interesting email because it reveals to you again the hypocrisy that is being pushed out there. Just scroll it down just a little bit there, because there are people who read a little fast, just slow, not too fast, because I want it to sink in. I want it to sink in for those who have very good vision to read. And then I will start from the top, because it is important that we understand the context of everything that I am saying tonight. And if anybody don't like it, well, tough luck for you. But here we go, folks. Let's go with that in just a second. Okay? Just a second. Let me pull it down there. I got it. There we go. Dear Theo, and this is dated February the 10th, 2016, folks. Dear Theo, it was a pleasure to receive your email and note the strong enthusiasm which still exists to make the project a reality. I am touched by the strength of your commitment. I am also excited by the potential of the project and have instructed my team to find solutions to the disagreements which still exist. This is February the 10th, 2016. The man who was so impossible and so difficult to talk to and negotiate, Theo Aking, a mere, 3-4 months before elections? Such flowery exchanges. I trust that this can be done immediately. The issue of the exclusivity is an exceedingly difficult one. Listen well. Listen well. I believe it is really important for you to understand our position on this matter. As a new CIP jurisdiction, which reminds me, talking about CIP there, I'll have something for you next week on that from Dr. Ernest Hilaire. As a new CIP jurisdiction, it will suffocate the program as all other projects which depend on China will be withdrawn. This will also cause severe reputational damage. Now listen here. Rather than the exclusivity serving as an attraction for others, it will in fact discourage others. But even more importantly, investors who have already bought land, commenced their designs, and made submissions for approval will be placed in a most undesirable position by the unexpected announcement of an exclusivity for one project. That is for DSH. Now listen to the solution that Dr. Kenny Anthony proposes in this case. It will really help me to understand what is the interest which you seek to achieve. Listen to this. So he's asking Theo Aking what interest you seek to achieve, so that I may consider other ways in which we can assist to achieve the same objective. Utanli Kuma. He didn't say no. He didn't say we ain't going with that. He just saying, explain to me better so that I, and more than likely his cabinet of ministers, will consider other ways in which we can assist to achieve the same objective. Utanli Kuma. I think that is clear. You know what? I'm not going to tell you. You make your conclusion out of this. Let me read that sentence again. It will really help me to understand what is the interest which you seek to achieve. So whatever you want to achieve, even though we don't like it this way, let us consider other ways that we can assist to achieve the same objective. You see? Listen to this. Of greater concern, though, is the requirements to waive sovereign immunity. This is unprecedented and may well require parliamentary approval. Now listen to the concern of Dr. Kenny Anthony. Utan tutsa yo hadi about T.O.R. King. He's difficult to deal with. The man wants all of these things. Here's Dr. Kenny Anthony saying that we're flexible. Let us talk so we can make it happen in whatever things or ways that we need to bend and mold and changer bagay to make the same objective possible. Listen to this. However, the sentence before that, in the middle there. The paragraph before the last. To do so in an election year is suicidal. Let me hear some horses there. Let me hear some horses. To do so in an election year is suicidal. So the concern of Dr. Kenny Anthony then was not about what was going on, you know. His concern was that it would have been required to be done or to be agreed upon in an election year. Kite mwen li encore si ou pass away, or I want you to read it. To do so in an election year is suicidal. Not that to do the project or to agree to what you want, Mr. T.O.R. King, is suicidal, but to do it in an election year. So was the concern primarily about the people of Saint Lucia, about our patrimony, about the mangrove, about the cows in Beausejour, about the so-called farmers? There's only one. The farmers in Beausejour. Was the concern about them, or was the concern really all about the election year? Pam mwen kidi. He goes on. However, I am sure that our proposed wording can achieve the same interest and not prejudice the project in any way. Tio, listen, oh, love my friend Tio. No Mr. T.O.R. King, nada. Tio, first name basis. Tio, rest assured that I possess an even greater desire to see this project become a reality for so many reasons. I will push to the limit. Listen to that. He's not telling Tio, I ask that you consider my thoughts which I have shared above. Let us find solutions and make this a flag bearer for a sustainable, integrated resort development in the world. Regards, Kenny D. Anthony, Prime Minister. That sounds like somebody you could not negotiate with? Does that sound like somebody who's so difficult to negotiate with? Does that sound like somebody who wants to get everything that he wants from Saint Lucia? Does that sound like a Kenny Anthony who was no longer open to discussing anything just 4 months before elections? Nada! The impression you would get. Mem project la usav. Mem project la. Transparency, accountability. The government went and signed a framework agreement. But all of this was going on. Nobody knew a thing. Nada. Nada. Unable to deliver, unable to negotiate properly. Sole concern was because it was an election year or primary concern. But now these very same people want to dictate. They want to dictate to the government how to go about doing things, how to go about governing. But I want to show you again. Say, Membaila, Pierre te la tu. Where was Pierre? Where was Philip J. Pierre? The Deputy Prime Minister. Where was he during all of this? Ipate sav? Yopadi. Where was Philip J. Pierre doing Grindberg? Ipate sav? Yopate di. Where was Philip J. Pierre when Rochamel went down? I pate la, yo pate di. These are the questions you have to ask. But of course, Philip JPL, that's the past, man. That's the past. That's the past. Yes, it is the past. But you are giving out opinions and you want to dictate to this government how to go about handling the very same things that you failed to deliver on in the past. Am I right or wrong? Am I making this up? Am I making it up? These are the hard truths, folks. Some people don't want you to say, oh, you're only talking about the SLP. Well, the SLP talking now. And they want to make it seem that they are the pillars of virtue, that they are the masters of the economy. Oh, economy. They are the masters of contracts. They are masters of doing things, implementing projects, policies of government to work for the people of Saint Lucia, to accomplish things, to inject immediately $100 million into the economy. And yeah, kote, still to see that. Or in what creative way did you? But then, folks, going even further, you see, we talk about the big noise about contracts, about direct awards. Oh no! Don't talk about direct awards, folks. This is going to open up a can of worms tonight. There are many ways that contracts are given. One of them is by direct award. But don't tell me, the argument has come from, oh, direct awards, Dr. Kenny Anthony, direct awards should be given in times when he lay again. Yo tout, same song sheet. Same song sheet, comme si dion à l'église. Qu'a chanté en choir. La 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 la. C'est pour la choir boys. En les airs là, en l'offre là, en l'église là qu'a chanté. But direct awards are not anything new in Saint Lucia, are they? If there is so much concern, in fact, you know what? I'm not even going to quote the statistics that I have. I put a challenge to Philip J. Pierre tonight that if you are so alarmed by the direct awards which have been awarded by this administration, what I want you to do, here's what, that's the challenge. Ipakai jamais répond. Challenge to you, Philip J. Pierre, former, like this, Deputy Prime Minister of Saint Lucia. Tell people of Saint Lucia that the direct awards that were given by your government in just the last term were only for emergency works. Landslide here, something last minute, you need to do something crazy. Oh yes, we need to do it. Sure, that is the only reason. And what I want you to do too, since direct awards are such a problem for you all now, from 2011 to 2016, I give you 1 week. 1 week to present the people of Saint Lucia with the figures on that. How many direct awards the Saint Lucia Labour Party gave awarded in 2011? How many in 2012, 13, 14, 15, 16? Easy. Blow this government away. Blow this government away. Direct awards are so bad. Muchwenu nambauni. And then we'll compare it. You see, folks? That is the important thing, because they don't want to go back to the past. That's the past, man. That's the past. Let's go back to the past. Because the records are in the past or from the past. And show us year by year and compare the number of direct awards to the number of direct awards that this government has given. Zotpa Abai said details la. Bali. I'm keeping it real. Let's keep it real. If it's Tuesday night, it's keeping it real in Saint Lucia. Let's keep it real, Philip J. Pierre. Huh? Like they say in Saint Lucia. You know? Si ou nom porte numbers la. Si ou nom porte numbers la qui sorti en dernière administration 2011 pour 2016. Combien direct awards SLP te bay? When you're ready to come with that, let's have a conversation. Let's have a conversation. Flashing mirrors, man. Flashing mirrors. Flashing mirrors. But you know, let's go on. The gurus, we're going long tonight. Because I'm just tired. I'm just tired. St. Lucians are tired of the foolishness. And if you don't want to hear, that's your problem because you have been saying it. Purveyors of doom and gloom. Everything is worst case scenario. Everything. Every single thing is the worst case scenario. It's time you all get called out on this. Stop insulting the intelligence of St. Lucians. Projects. You all are the granddaddies of projects and you all can manage and you know how to do things. Anuale! We're going past Kote. Yes, Milila. We're going past T.O.R. King now and DSH. I think the people of St. Lucia getting it. They're getting it. They're getting it. Because everything, as far as I'm concerned, in my opinion, based on what I see, and I'm going to present the evidence which leads me to the conclusions that I come to. And even though, folks, I come to my conclusions, I present the evidence. If I don't have the evidence to present, I don't present it. Because I want you to see, I want you to hear, and you evaluate, and you conduct your own analysis of the paralysis, and decide whether you agree with me or whether you don't. But if you do agree, all well and good. If you disagree, I ain't vexed with you. I ain't vexed. But we must learn to be truthful in this country. We must not conveniently leave out the details that will show that the argument that is being made is not genuine. So let's go to the next photo. It's the front page of a report, folks, from April 2017. Fesapli go, man. People need to see this. Let's zoom in a little bit on that there, folks. Office of the Director of Audit of St. Lucia. That's right. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, hold it there. Special Audit Report of the Ministry of Communications, Works, Transport and Public Utilities. Remember when it was called that? East Coast Road Project, ECRP. And let's go up. That's right. That's right. And Roads Development Project, RDP. And look at the date there. April 2007. You see that? SOA. That's just the front page. Don't get too excited yet, folks. Don't get too excited yet. You can't get vexed with me. Zotsa di tout me pouya. Dis tout sa zot ble about moi. But you can't touch the facts. Can't touch it. Let's go to the next one now. The page 37. That's it. That's it. That's it. Bring that in. Let's go to the top. Bring that in. Say zot ki vle bay gouvernement sa conseil. That's it. That's what I'm talking about. Zot ki vle bay gouvernement sa la conseil. They don't know how to do anything. But all projects are coming in ahead of time, within budget. But listen to this there now. This very same report, recommendation 7.38. And they're talking about the roads projects under the previous administration, the SLP administration at that time. Management, in fact, okay, let's go on. Management should adopt appropriate measures to mitigate against such significant currency losses. Now, let me explain to you folks. There were significant losses because guess what? The projects were done, the projects referred to were done in pound sterling. Now, you do know, folks, that our currency, the Eastern Caribbean dollar, is not tied to the pound sterling. So lei mute, the value of our EC go down. So it's more EC for a pound. They did the project in pounds. So all through the duration, fluctuations in the value of the EC dollar against the pound. So when something would cost you, let's just say, for example, $4 today, if the pound go up tomorrow, you owe the company $6. $6, like they say out there. $6. Why didn't you negotiate those contracts in US dollars? From the time I know myself, say, même valer. Même valer. But no. Oh no. The brain boxes who want to advise this government now went and did the contracts in pounds, but pound. Huh? And actually the recommendation there, such measures may include agreement on an exchange rate for a specified time frame. There was no such. Payment in foreign currency against which the EC dollar is fixed. For example, the United States dollar, member in a deal. Establishment of a foreign currency account in which deposits in foreign currency are made to facilitate payments in foreign currencies. So if the pound is fluctuating, you establish an account, let's say at a bank in the UK, in pounds. So when you put the money in there at one rate, even if the pound fluctuates, c'est still pound nila. And as a matter of fact, if at the time when the payments come to be made and the value has lowered, you have more value for your EC dollars. Isn't that so? It's still pounds you're paying, but at least the value of EC dollars will change on the books. Mais c'est still même pound nila. Isn't that the case? So, C, significant charges due to late payments. Remember, a total of $1.3 million. You see at the in 7.4. Pause that right there. But let's go down. Let's go down. Let's go down. 7.42. And I'm going to go to the last sentence there, where it says, pause that right there. That's right. Bring it up a little bit. Little bit. That's it? Okay, that's good. The last sentence there says, the following table outlines the wide variances between the original contract amounts and the amounts actually paid for the road development project. Okay? Now let's look at this now. To the left of that table there. Name of the project, RDP, Road Development Project 001 and 002. And the contractor for that job, or those two jobs, was Lagan. Now look at contract amount. The contract amount was supposed to have been $43.7 million. Now look at the right. The amount actually paid when all was said and done for those two contracts, $133 million. Mais autres vle di gouvernement ça là qui manière pour faire business. Huh? Don't you see this is a farce? So the difference there from the original amount to the extreme right of the first line, $89.7 million. And you know what came into the lexicon of Saint Lucia at that time? Cost overruns. You all remember that one? Mais c'est même ces moun ça là, who the brain boxes, the ones who want to give all the advice now, with such a dismal performance. No wonder the Saint Lucia economy was going down the drain. No wonder unemployment was so high. No wonder the economy was doing so bad for so many years. But these are the same people who want to dictate to the government every single thing. Si gouvernement sa acheté un wall papier toilette, toilet paper, they have something to say about it. If there's a dress code for the VIPs at a horse race, they have something to say about it. If the government buys steel for St. Jude Hospital, they have something to say about it. If the government puts a monument at the roundabout at Conway, they have something to say about it. Every single thing. It's ridiculous. The people of Saint Lucia are tired, but let's go on. The evidence is before you folks. Padi Mwedi, Wili Pukaumem. Second line on the left, RDP, Road Development Project 003. Contractor CCI. The contract amount $23.5 million. How much the government paid? $49 million. 49, and you tell me that anybody in their right mind is going to take any type of advice from you all on contracts, on doing business, on dealing with DSH, on dealing with any investor, on dealing with anything at all? The loss on that project or the cost overrun, $25 million. The cost overrun was more than the contract itself. And in the top line there, the contract was supposed to be $43 million. It cost double or triple, $89 million more than the 43. Let's go to the next one. Road Development Project Consultancy from Dewey. Everybody heard that rice. The contractor was Dewey. Huh? $7.4 million. It cost the government $21.57 when all was said and done. Huh? $14.1 million difference. I see a pattern developing here. 2 out of 3. 3 times the value in the first one. The third one to Dewey, 3 times the value. What is going on here? So if we look at the grand total, let's look at it. You know, some people take their time to grasp what's going on. $74.6 million is what those 3 projects should have cost. The government ended up paying $204 million. And you tell me I will want to take advice from anybody like that? From any person who was responsible, who was a part of this, wants to give advice? That is dangerous. Where the money gone? That's what I want to know. Where the money gone? You know what? It's over there. It's here. Look in here. I ain't see no money. You see it over there? Not upstairs there. Nowhere in the studio. Where is it? Okay, let's get back to business. You see it under your bed? Nowhere there. But, you know, to wrap it all up, I mean, this cycle, you know, don't depend on me. Although I've shown you quite a bit of evidence here tonight, quite a bit, for you to perform your own analysis of the paralysis, come to your own conclusions. But the granddaddy of it all, you know, nothing beats, you know, like they say, from the mouths of babes, but nothing beats hearing what went on, what the cause of it all was, the admission of it all. But I want you to hear it from his mouth. The words describing exactly what was going on. Mismanagement, inability to manage, lack of grasp. You call it whatever you want. Inability, gross incompetence. I don't know what you want to call it. I don't know what you want to call it. But let us hear from Dr. Kenny Anthony, who was interviewed again. I must play it. It hurts the heart to hear this, but yet still these same people want to dictate to the government. Interviewed by J.D. Jean-Pierre in 2014, if I am correct. Dr. Kenny Anthony, roll it!
Now, last year, and this is where the crux of the problem is, we wanted to issue bonds of $266.5 million. But we actually were able to raise only $45.5 million.
That's a significant difference.
In other words, we were not able to raise $221 million. Likewise, we wanted to raise short-term loans of $38.9 million, but we were only able to raise $29.3 million. Again, a shortfall of $9.6 million. So what has happened here is that we cannot turn to borrowing to fix up our deficit because banks, individuals, and institutions who used to lend before are no longer lending governments. They're insisting that they will lend you if you get your financial house in order.
That's it. That's it. Pamwekidi. I didn't say it. So, banks and lending institutions were not willing to lend. He said it, we could not borrow. Why? Because they said you needed to get your financial house in order. So if they said you need to get your financial house in order, what does that mean? That your financial house was not in order. Who was in government? You! And all of this happened under you. So do you think that anybody will have confidence in your performance? In your ability to manage the economy? And of course, in the previous administration, just gone. We were in negative growth, if you can say that. We were in decline. And a textbook example was that the economy was in a recession. Saint Lucia take a bad blow. Say it and so. Pamwekidi, the numbers are there. If there was not when you present the numbers, as I asked you to do, Philip J. Pierre, can you provide the numbers to show that what I'm saying is incorrect? That the economy was booming in the last 2011 to 2016 term of the SLP? Was unemployment at record low numbers? Was construction or employment in across the board for young people, for adults? Was it at the lowest ever or was it at the highest ever? I'm just asking questions. If you can disprove me, that would be great. Bring the evidence, present it, call a press conference and give that evidence. Call it. Labiti Zotkuye press conference. I put the challenge out. Don't dilly-dally. Don't talk about something else. Weponsa. But, you know, whatever I presented there tonight, folks, the evidence, the facts, the video, speaks for itself. If you want to come to a different conclusion, that's entirely up to you. But in the vein of things there now, the statements by the SLP about CIP, about investigating, when reviewing, what's there to review? There's a process, but the context in which that was said, in no uncertain terms, clearly instills fear in people buying into our CIP program. There's no doubt about that. No doubt about that. There is something else, folks. Unless you have the information already, unless it's been in the public domain, I don't like referring to information that I cannot put on screen for you. And if I don't have it yet, I will not bring it up yet. But something came to my attention yesterday and today again, which is extremely alarming. Extremely alarming. and what had been warned about of actions taken by some people who have a penchant for using social media has come home to roost. But that will be for another show, because I'm not going to say anything else. I want to get this in my hand for you to see. If I don't get it, I'm not saying anything. But when I get it, you will definitely see it on your screen, because I keep it real with you right here. Now, some time ago this year, Philip J. Pierre, while speaking at Latok Sandals Hotel, Sandals Latok, at a lunch for the president of Taiwan. The opposition had been invited, government ministers were there, opposition members were there, as well as senators from both sides of the house. And of course, Philip J. Pierre made a statement as the leader of the opposition, and he said he hopes that we can keep local politics local, because there had been statements. He had a press conference about the Taiwanese president coming to Saint Lucia, and he said a number of things, blah, 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 that a number of people were very disappointed in. So in, smoothing it out, I guess saying, smoothing it out with the Taiwanese as well, saying we should leave local politics local, saying, kind of like saying, don't worry about that, man, don't worry about that, that's our thing here, don't worry about that Taiwan. But I want to know why this very same thing cannot apply in other instances. And I want to read you, folks, I want to read you. I know tonight is a little long. I know tonight is a little long. When we come back from the break, we're going to take calls. But I know tonight is a little long. It's a letter dated the 19th of September 2016, just 3 months after elections, addressed to the Honorable Alan Chasney, and it's from the office of the leader of the opposition. And he says, "Dear Prime Minister, I want you to read along with me, those of you who are a little fuzzy at this hour of the night. I'll read it. Dear Prime Minister, I write to inform you in my capacity as leader of the opposition on the position of the Saint Lucia Labour Party on the appointment of Mr. Guy Mayers to the post of the High Commissioner of Saint Lucia to the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. It is the concern of the opposition that Mr. Mayers, who served as Minister of National Security in 2011, by virtue of that role, was central to the government's policy at that time, which led to the alleged killing of 12 persons during an operation called Operation Restore Confidence. Consequently, there was strong condemnation from the United States government and other friendly governments. This led to a CARICOM-led investigation and submission of the well-known impacts report. The necessary follow-up action by the government of Saint Lucia has remained a contentious proposition. It has constantly resulted in strong reactions from the government of the United States, the EU, and the government of the United Kingdom. It is difficult to accept that with the matter still unresolved, how appropriate can it be for the minister who had oversight of the operation to be recommended for accreditation to a principal diplomatic posting? Philip J. Pierre in the letter actually says that paragraph. It is difficult to accept that with the matter still unresolved, it means that nobody's been found guilty of anything. There's been no judgment in the case. The only thing we know is that an impacts report came out of it, and it was compromised by statements made by Dr. Kenny Anthony. for all intents and purposes, by making known to the public certain aspects of what came out in that report. It's documented. He addressed the nation. So he's talking, recommended for accreditation to a principal diplomatic posting. The Saint Lucia Labour Party believes that given the strong sentiments held by the government of the United Kingdom on the issues of human rights and due process of law, then deliberate consideration should be given to withdrawing the nomination of Mr. Mayers and awaiting the conclusion of the process relating to Operation Restore Confidence. I wish, next page, the final signature page, I wish to assure you of my highest consideration. CC'd to the British High Commission and opposition members of Parliament. Folks, I have no doubt in my mind that this was not really intended for the Prime Minister of Saint Lucia, but by the mere CCing to the British that the intention was to sabotage the appointment of Guy Mayers. But Philip J. Pierre says, and his opposition, because he says it was CC'd to the members of the opposition, none of them have objected to the contents. None of them have put it on record. None of them have said, my name is not going added to that. So for all intents and purposes, they're all in it, kit and caboodle. But Philip J. Pierre, in July this year, says, let's keep local politics local. Is this not local? There's been no resolution to this. So Philip J. Pierre, stating that there's no conclusion to this, then turns around or goes around the mulberry bush and becomes judge, jury, and executioner. That although nothing was, but because he was the one there. I need to drink some water. Keep it real. So what we're going to do now, folks, and let that sink in for you. Let it sink in. Because our senses are bombarded day in and day out with innuendo, with nonsense, with BS, with the 3 B's principle, ad nauseum. It is utterly ridiculous what is going on now. Never in my life have I witnessed such abject nonsense in the political landscape in Saint Lucia. The ridiculous arguments, the unsupported allegations, all sorts of word twisting and foolishness. It's a shame. It is a shame. We'll take a break and then we're going to go into calls. Don't forget, folks. Get moving quick and we'll be right back. See you after the break.
Avoid the congestion and traffic associated with Castries City and Rodney Bay shopping and come to Gailwood's Mall. We have everything you'd possibly want, from a sprawling supermarket to a complete furniture store, from your choice of elegant boutiques to professional photography, dry cleaning, a hardware store, medical facilities, drugstores, hair and beauty salons, an eyewear center, and so much more. We truly do have it all, along with a food court which provides sumptuous meals and free Wi-Fi while you dine. Parking is plentiful and shopping times most convenient. Come to Gailwood's Mall. Through the mall that started it all.
Tibanan Caribbean Bistro and Bar, nestled within Coco Palm, a boutique hotel in the heart of entertainment capital Rodney Bay, offers a truly unique experience with the best food, drinks, and music. Open 7 a.m. to 12 midnight daily for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Tibanan specializes in authentic French Caribbean cuisine, delectable tropical cocktails, and the best live entertainment on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. Tibanan also offers catering for weddings, special occasions, and conferences. For reservations, call 456-2800 or email reservations@coco-resorts.com. Tibanan Caribbean Bistro and Bar, where passion meets quality.
On Hot 7 TV, we always keep it sizzling. This November, it's a November to remember, where local filmmakers grab the spotlight. Every evening following the Hot 7 nightly news, the curtains rise to reveal a film produced by a Saint Lucian filmmaker. That's right, homegrown talent takes center stage. Short films, feature-length movies, documentaries and animation, all from sweet Saint Lucia. We even have interviews with some of the filmmakers. It's a November to remember with local filmmakers every evening immediately after the nightly news. Only on Hot 7 TV, channel 117 on Flow and channel 7 Plug and Play.
This local film industry awareness initiative is supported by the AVFA, the Audiovisual and Film Association.
And welcome back, folks. Welcome back on this side of the break. I hope you got your extra bag of popcorn or water or had your bathroom break or whatever you had to do. Or maybe you just stayed there waiting and waiting. And I didn't mention at the top of the show, or at the beginning of the show, I want to mention special bonsoir. Bonsoir, c'est Saint Lucia en Cayenne. I was informed a while ago that St. Lucians in Cayenne are watching the show online. I'd like to say a special good night, un spécial bonsoir pour ces Saint Luciens en Cayenne. Bonsoir. Merci. We love you. After all of that, folks, I'd like to give you some information, because there's so much nonsense that's put out there. Before we go to the phone lines, I'd like to show you some photos of Deriso. The Deriso playing field is now next up. That's right. The work has begun on the Deriso playing field. Lights are going up. It's going to be lighted. And of course, AstroTurf. So Deriso is going to be on the map with one of the best playing fields, football fields you can imagine. That's right, folks. Work is progressing in Deriso as promised. Another one taking shape. So, like I said before, folks, there you go. Look at that. Travail qu'a fait Deriso. Opening things up, giving the young men and the young women facilities. And later on, there's going to be other works being done at the Deriso playing field area that will enhance the facilities which will be available. So let's put up the number for the lines. I think 450-0770. Whoa! 450-0777. You can give me a call right here and let's discuss some of what I brought to your attention on the show tonight. But I want to tell you something. Next week, or Sunday, or is it Sunday? Yeah, just about the last Sunday. Let me see here, let me tell you. The DSH racetrack is going to be open to visitors. Open day. Yep, one more week after this weekend, Sunday. So you may want to take the opportunity to go down there and have a look for yourself. And maybe bring the kids, get some ice cream. We have a call. Good night, you're on the air. Let's keep it real. Good night, you're on the air. No, I can't hear you. You can hear me loud and clear. I'm not hearing you, sir. Nope. Can't hear. Okay, let's try that again. Can you put that on the overhead because I'm not hearing him here? Okay, we seem to have a little problem here, folks, so we'll get that rectified. Well, I'm sorry about that. Maybe you can call back in just a minute or so. I was unable to hear you. I could hear you across in the other room there, but not enough to hear. Are you there? Okay, it's gone.
Hello?
Yes, good night. You're on the air. Let's keep it real.
Hi, Mr. Williams.
Yes, good night
Next
to
time
you.
I'm calling your show.
Yes, thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. I like the clip you show on Kenny because someone has to expose politicians. You know, Kenny in that clip back then showed something that other leaders don't do at all. And that was total transparency. Tell Shasney own that.
Oh, that's all, caller? Well, thank you very much. But what you try to attribute there to total transparency seems to be sorely lacking or invisible as far as Grindberg is concerned. It seems to have been out the window when Rochamel was involved, or Frenwell, or NCA, or, of course, these cost overruns until the inquiry came about and exposed so much of it. But, of course, you were keeping it real. But although you said that Chastain needs to have transparency, you didn't state where he wasn't transparent. So maybe you can call in next week and tell us where he's not being transparent and give us some evidence to support that. You know, thank you so much for being a new caller to the show. Do we have another call? Not yet. So let's keep going. So, folks, we have a call. Good night.
Yeah, no, but good evening.
Let's keep it real.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
That deputy prime minister was only created under the Labour administration.
I'm sorry, say that again, caller.
The deputy prime minister
Yes.
was only created under the Labour administration. And Philip JPA was that deputy prime minister. With all the documents and all what you present there tonight, I cannot believe that's the same man that was there when all these wrongs were going on and now want to correct a sitting administration.
Well, caller, you see, that is the million-dollar question for Philip JPA. And he has to state why he was silent during Grindberg. In fact, from the information that's there, it's almost as if he knew nothing about Grindberg.
That was a very important position, you know. You're second to the prime minister, you know. You are second to the prime minister.
So the question is, did the prime minister trust the deputy prime minister?
That's why I'm calling to ask that, because it's the first time ever in Saint Lucia political history in a parliament we ever have a deputy, and that's the man that wants everything now.
You're very astute and you're keeping it very real. And these are the questions that Philip JPA needs to answer. He cannot absolve himself. He cannot escape having to speak, and his responsibility or his being involved or being a part of all that transpired under Dr. Kenny Anthony and him being the so-called deputy prime minister.
Honestly, I just cannot understand that. Anyway, let me give somebody else a chance. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you very much for calling. Thank you for keeping it real. Folks, that's the kind of questions and these are the kinds of logical reasoning that I want to encourage around here. Not any of this mindless mepui and nonsense. Questions based on the facts. You may not have the answer, but the logical questions make sense. You know, these are the questions that Philip JPA has to answer. These are the answers he has to come with. And don't forget my challenge to you. Don't forget that challenge. Bring the figures. If you want to contradict, call a press conference. Do we have another call? Do we have a call? Good night. You're on the air. Let's keep it real.
Good night, Mr. Williams.
Good night, sir.
There ought to be a law, you know.
What law is that?
A special law. I would like Mr. Homogale Francis
Yes.
to get a jeep, to get a police jeep and round up those SFP guys and lock them up and throw away the key, man.
But why is that? Well, under what authority would he be doing that?
For disrespecting the intelligence of our people.
Well, is that an offense? Are you saying that this should be made an offense?
Yes. And they just think that solution people are stupid. Let me give you an example. Anthony and the SFP plan to open the St. Jude's Hospital every month for 5 years. and they didn't open it.
Well, caller, let's just keep it real. It wasn't every month, but almost every year they promised to open it that year or sometime in November.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then when out of office, they marched those St. Louis. They marched those St. Louis. Could you believe that, man? And people and solutions trolling them. I have never seen that in my life. In most countries, you know, those guys will be around, those guys will be stoned. Those guys would not be politicians. Those guys can get free votes. They're throw stones and live in the glass house.
But caller, let me ask you. Caller, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. What is your take on the whole brouhaha that's not a brouhaha with this whole foolishness about the dress code for the VIP at the racetrack?
My take is the drowning man catches a straw. They drown in and they catch everything. There's always dress codes at horse racing and other occasions, man. There's always dress codes. The best thing that solutions are stupid, so they become arguments. They cause arguments for anything.
So let me ask you. Let me ask you as a layman. As a layman, you've been around for a while, I guess. When you take advice from people, you go whoever you go to your priest, you go to a professor, you go to some expert. You go to them because they have valuable advice that you can get. Make it quick. How do you think that anyone can accept advice from individuals who had these horrible cost overruns? Do you think that any one of them is fit to give financial advice to this government about contracts or anything? 10 seconds.
You're going to be rocket scientist. I have told Prime Minister Alan Shastri, but day one on the talk shows, don't listen to them. They are losers. They are a bunch of losers. They have nothing to offer. You don't listen to a loser. I told Prime Minister Alan Shastri, you want to listen to somebody, you listen to his father and members of his cabinet. You don't listen to those jokers because they are born losers and they will remain losers.
Okay, thank you very much, caller. That's it for tonight. Thank you very much. Thanks for keeping it real right here with me. Okay, folks, it's time for me to wrap up another episode of Keeping It Real, Sabotage, Lies, and Construction. I'd like to thank all of you, those in the diaspora, in Cayenne, in the US of A, London, all over Saint Lucia, all around. Cess at Massad Grocery and your crew over there. St. Thomas in that sports bar. Brooklyn, New York, all over. Thank you so much for tuning in once again. Babono, I'd like to thank all of you. I'm Norbert Williams. Another episode of Keeping It Real. See you next week. Good night.
The opinions expressed on this TV program by the hosts, guests, and callers are solely their opinions and responsibility. They do not necessarily represent the views and opinions of Hot 7 TV or its affiliates.